Hey, welcome to the latest edition of First State Kopites. It's episode 38 of season 3, episode 38 on week 38 of the Premier League season. It's a podcast for Liverpool supporters in Delaware and friends of those Liverpool supporters. Thanks for listening on your preferred platform. We're available on all of them and on YouTube as well. I'm Paul, and this week I'm excited to be joined by a big crew. We've got Sean, who's in Delaware. We've got Daz, who's in Baltimore. Hytham, who's in Chicago, and Justin, who is in New York. Great to see all of you. We're going to reflect on a slightly disappointing weekend. Like there's a trophy we didn't win apparently this season. But next weekend we play in the biggest cup competition in club football against Real Madrid. So we're going to spend some time previewing that game. Before we get there, let's wrap up some Premier League. Let's maybe have a bit of a laugh at Pep Guardiola and his Manchester City crowds. And then we will spend some time talking about Champions League final, what our hopes, expectations are. Yeah. Almost don't. So let's start with Wolves. Liverpool beat Wolves 3-1 yesterday. They went 1-0 down after like 2 minutes or 50 seconds, something like that. It seemed a more difficult game than it probably would have been had it been any other time of the season. And I'm going to start with you, Justin, actually. But we can talk about Wolves, but actually the goalie is quite good. And I wonder if the fact that he went off at half time was kind of one of the things that we needed to help us happen in the second half. What were your
I think that there was
the Wolves game.
I think that there was no way we were going to lose that game. I thought that regardless of what happened, we were going to win. It was really just more about what City we're going to do. And I mean, if I have to be perfectly honest, once I see John Ruddy come onto a football pitch, the only thing I really want is Luis Suarez. But I mean, John Ruddy's not very good. Jose Sa is good, but we were going to score. It was just not. It was not a matter of if, it was just when we were going to score a second goal. I can't picture that we were going to allow ourselves to go out like that. And typically, once this group of players gets something on their mind that they want to do, they're pretty good at doing it.
Yeah. I only wanted you saw, by the way, because I had this amazing stat, which is that Sarr apparently avoided Wolves conceding 8 goals a season based on the stats. And by the way, Alisson this season was only at like 1 or 2 like goals saved that ordinarily would not have been saved. And I saw this whole analysis of other goalkeepers that had saved their teams more goals. And on the list was Simon Mignolet, season 2012, 2013, where I think he had saved 13 goals. And I don't know about you, but I'm like, who did he play for in 2012, 13? Well,
Sunderland.
Turns out it wasn't us, right?
I think that was actually, no, 2012-13 was his first season at Liverpool, I believe.
No, it was actually,
no, that was Pepe Reina's last season at Liverpool.
It
was Sunderland.
So it's like, I guess those stats guys had something kind of figured out when they signed him.
I don't know, because I think goalkeeping stats are tremendously broken, and they're really difficult to kind of navigate and use. It just turns out that the goalkeepers who make the most saves are the ones who play for the worst teams.
Yes. Yeah.
Where was he when he led how many goals? 6, 7 by City when they played him last?
Mignolet?
No.
Sarr.
Yeah.
I guess his 8 might have gone down a bit. I don't know. Felt like Wolves weren't really trying for most of the rest of the season, except when it came to the game against us. So Daz, I'll go to you next. Actually, it felt like Wolves really weren't trying very much. They didn't look terribly effective against City, and then all of a sudden, for the first 20 minutes, they came out against us looking like the season really mattered. It was on the line for them.
I watched the first 15 or so minutes of that Wolves versus City game, because I felt like Wolves might have given them a game. And when they went, I believe they went 1-1 very, very quickly after they went 1 down. And their goal was very reminiscent of the one they scored against us. It was essentially one long ball, missed tackle, slotted into the box, and then Donker put it between Edison's legs. So they are a pretty effective counter-attacking team. I don't know where the fuck Jimenez came from. Like, and of course, like, what you're like, oh, it's the only goal he's scored all season, and it's the last game of the season against Liverpool in the second or the third bloody minute. I'm like, of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Because we just like to be able to create the drama, don't we? And I'm kind of with Justin. Like, look, I wasn't sweating profusely about the outcome. I do believe it was. I don't think we were tremendous for certain portions of the first half. I think that misjudged header really put us behind our own 8 ball, like, and mentally speaking. And I think that it took us a second to come back from it. But I don't know. Jimenez turned up like the Jimenez that we all thought that they were going to get. It was a pain in the arse the entire game. I think I might have said this. I want to rewind to what we were saying about that 13-14 season and goalkeepers. I truly believe that if Alisson Becker had been in goal for us against Demba Ba, he would have stopped that one-on-one.
Yeah.
And that hurts. I'm not gonna lie, it hurts. But
I do want to bring one thing that you raised though about the misjudged header. That's just a situation where Konate didn't know who he was playing against and didn't know that if Raul Jimenez can't head a ball because it might actually kill him. And I think that's just, the types of mistakes that you might get every so often out of a young defender. That's all that was.
Yeah, I truly believe that he has a high ceiling. I'm not here to dunk on him at all. That was very sophomoric of a mistake. But it's, like, it all comes out in the wash. I just think that it affected him for quite a while in the first half, I want to say. But I think in the second half he came out as did we all, and it was business as usual. Like, look, it wasn't our most pristine game, but it's like, how many of those we watched this season where we know that, like, you kind of foretold what the outcome is going to be, and I think that's one of the, and I've said this before on these here airwaves, that I think that's one of the reasons that we're fun to watch, is because the frenetic, chaotic nature of how games sometimes can devolve and then be built back up. Whereas if you're watching City, it's very automaton-like. For the most part, they have some games where they seem to fall apart a little bit, but it's not fun to watch. It's almost formulaic. Whereas us, it's like there's going to be drama. There's going to be ups and downs.
A couple of things to say. Actually, to your point about Alisson 2014, what it says is our stats analysis has gone up a level. Given, obviously, we got Mignolet in a year where he would appear to have been like one of the better goalies out there, and now we've got Alisson, who really is one of the better goalies out there. But I'm gonna. There's lots of things I think we could talk about. It's a really weird game. Like, fans cheering at moments where nothing was happening in our game, which must have sent the players off in a completely different direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there were a couple of interesting performances from Liverpool. I thought Mane again, and I go to you, Hytham, was magnificent. He could have had several goals had he maybe been one step back on the second one that was disallowed. But I thought his touch was great, and I'd see no reason why. Well, we'll get onto this, but we'll talk about like who's going to be picked for the final. But he's finished the season in amazing form. He's only got a year left in his contract.
Yeah, he has, and a lot of these goals that he's been scoring, especially the couple, the semifinal of the FA Cup. I think had it been last year, he would have missed them basically. For whatever reason, COVID, dip in form, all of that stuff. But yeah, his been fantastic. And I really wanted him to score more than one goal. And I was so happy when he got that offside goal or whatever when he scored it. But it is what it is. But yeah, his just lively, and I've been hearing a lot of people talk about him on TV, um, newspapers, whatever. But when he came to Liverpool, he started on the right, did fantastically there. Salah came, he was moved to the left, and then with Jota first, and I mean him and Jota kind of like flip flop with Salah before Diaz came in. But when Diaz came in, that's when he was pushed to the middle. But he continues to just adapt and do well, and that's it's been just a joy to watch.
So Sean, I'm going to kind of pivot a little bit because like I think Daz shared the photo of Mo Salah looking like he'd I don't know, his firstborn child had been like sent off to somewhere. I mean, he looked really sad when he had the golden boot and the golden assist in his hand. A lot of people I've talked to today feel a bit sad about yesterday, and I think the Villa goals obviously created a bit of expectation. Prior to it, I would have said, well, it's not in our hands, but it felt like it was in our hands for a moment and then it wasn't. Where are you today? What are the reasons to be optimistic about what happened yesterday?
I mean, it worked out pretty well for us the last time it happened against City. I guess that's the best reason to be optimistic. No, I mean, it's disappointing. It feels really crappy yesterday and today a little bit. And rival fans, like to rub your nose in it and all that. But, I think I said this a couple times, like in previous podcasts, like this was so predictable that we weren't going to win all four. It was so unlikely that we'd win all four. And I knew the minute we didn't win one of them, everybody would be crushed, but it's like, it's still, if we win next weekend, it's arguably the best season we've ever had, or one of at least. So it's just a weird thing because we put ourselves in this situation where we had the chance to win all four. You don't win one, and it seems disappointing rather than thinking about all the success.
What kills me about that is the banter. Like somehow we failed.
Well, it's. I mean, you know why they do it. I mean, if it was United in 2007 or whatever, we would have done the same thing because it's your one chance to get a dig in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and wouldn't Man City really, if they were honest and given a choice, wouldn't they rather have a 50-50 chance in the final instead of winning another league? I think they would.
Imagine being us. They hate that.
Right. I mean, so and like I said, I mean, I've seen some pundits, predicting, oh well, Liverpool obviously tail off next season. Like we did the exact opposite the last time this happened. It's obviously disappointing. It sucks to get this many points, lose the league by 1 point. The thing that I was hung up on, not to get hung up on negativity, was just all the bullshit VAR calls that could have gone our way that didn't. And when it comes down to 1 point, I mean, that was the toughest thing for me. But you gotta be realistic in terms of being happy and not taking this team for granted. It's just odd because most teams never get in this situation. And I do think the fact that we only won, we won the one league in the last 30 some years or whatever, and it happened to be the pandemic year. I think that's still weighing on fans a little bit. People, I think Liverpool fans in particular really want to win the league again. But it's being a little bit greedy, I think. How many teams have ever, desperately wanted to be in a Champions League final, and this is our third in 5 years,
So I do think, Sean, one of the things, and I'll go to Justin next, but I do think one of the things that people look at is that points total over the last 5 years, where we're like 1 point behind them, and they've won like all those leagues. And I mean, we can. There's so many things to say about like oil nations heavily investing in sports washing projects, and some of those players like De Bruyne, really, that's your career. I think more should be made of that, because I do believe that they don't need the extra few dollars, and they might well be better served by playing for teams that have better reputations. But what I'm going to turn to now is, before we talk about the Champions League final, lots of things going on with other teams, especially other teams' fans who somehow think that we failed and they're like 54 points behind us. But so, I mean, we could talk about Villa. I don't know if you want to, but Coutinho scored, and like that felt like, oh, obviously we're going to win the league now that he scored. But honestly, did a backup goalie, and Mings is shit. So I'm not sure that. I think we got as good as we could have got out of Villa. So you can talk about Villa, Justin. But is there any other team you want to particularly talk about, kind of where they got to? Because I think there's a lot of teams underperformed, and maybe one or two who did better than you would expect.
I'm just going to stick at the two teams in the northwest of England. One of them wears blue and one of them wears red. The one that wears red is not us. One of their players, after losing 5-1 to Arsenal, tweeted a Thierry Henry gif of him smiling. I have no time for any of these people. That's what it comes down to. I have no time for Evertonians or United supporters who are trying to take a shot at us, because I've just been on a fantastic ride that still continues. We have a game next week. They don't. I'm a big fan of the fact that it's about the journey. Our journey's been to a great place. Their journey has been to barely scraping survival and massive delusion, respectively. So I'm
confused.
Just got no time for
it. Which one of the two teams that's about? Because it seems it could.
It's interchangeable. It's interchangeable. It's you could pick and choose, apply it however you want. But like, I just don't have time for them. Like, this is one of the things that I sometimes don't get, and I've just kind of like, I think as I've gotten, I used to be this way, but as I've gotten older, I've kind of strayed away from it. I'm not telling anybody that this is like, a mature and enlightened view. Take the piss out of whoever you want. I just don't watch sports to hope for other teams to fail. I just want to get behind my team. That's how I take this. And I mean, I'm woefully addicted to social media, just like literally everybody else. But I just ignore it. There's no point. What are you gonna like? They're trying to make you feel like shit about a time that you've had that's really good. Like,
yeah,
fuck that. Feel good about the fun that you've had.
Frankly, we were there in the 90s, though. If I'm honest with you, like the best thing was when United didn't win the league. Yeah.
Listen, I've seen Roy Hodgson say that he thought we played great after a 2-0 loss at Goodison.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to be down there.
We're comparing low points. We're comparing low points.
Our low point was pretty low, but we never lost 5-0 at they never lost 5-0 at Anfield to United. So stick that in my back pocket.
Never did. Yes. Yeah. So, as much as you might want to jump on the bandwagon, Daz, about United's failures, I still don't know how Ten Hag is going to bring them around. But anyway, that's a topic for next season. I wanted to pivot to the fume that is Pep. Legends, he said. Legends. Apparently, their own fan base is not bought into this, because only 5 of them showed up at the parade today. In
fairness, it was all 5 of them.
Did they stay the whole time, though? So, thoughts about United and the small town pitch invasion thing we could touch on. But I don't think it's about. Sorry, go ahead.
Why did you offer Darren a blue pill?
No, actually, I was going to go with no. Pitch invasion was a passing point. I was going to go with. Do they have that many fans? Actually, isn't that their issue?
Look, I did glory in some of it, just because like it's as hard as they try to say like we're a worldwide force and we're massive. at every turn, they just look kind of buffoonish. There was someone shared a video of like, if you feel like a champion, clap your hands or something like that. With I just like this all over body cringe. I'm like, I wasn't even laughing at it. I was like, oh boys, like, did you really want to put that up like for public consumption? Did someone press play by mistake? Like, it's just terrible. At every turn, you guys try to act like you're big time, and you're trying to engineer something that's genuine, and you can't buy that. Like, you can't put pixels together and make it seem real. It's just so faux. And then like Pep talking, like trying to drum up the siege mentality, like the whole world hates us and wants Liverpool to win. I'm like, mate, that is entirely false. Like, I can peer from the stands in Anfield and see down the street, knowing full well that entire stadium is wearing light blue today, wanting you to win because they don't want to have the banter. I was watching something, I think it was Arsenal Fan TV, like when they were breaking down why, like they said, we don't care about you because you're irrelevant. We don't want to have to spend the entire summer hiding from Liverpool fans, knowing that they've won a quadruple. Like, you're kind of irrelevant. Well, like,
Wow.
You don't really feature. You came onto the scene to 10, 12 years ago. Everything you have is being bought with blood money and oil money. You're kind of irrelevant, and you're trying to create this us versus them mentality. Like, without us in the league right now, this becomes every bit Ligue 1 or the Bundesliga, where it's Bayern or PSG and like, it's like, we're the only thing that's keeping this league somewhat relevant. Like, we are you are the yin to our yang, and vice versa. Like, but you need us, and to try and belittle we belittle our accomplishments, like all of you. Like, do you want City? Because eventually it's going to be when City gets to 15 or 16 league wins, then all of a sudden everyone's going to be, oh fuck, these guys are running away with it again. That's why people didn't want us to win, or they don't want United to win. They don't want to see like megalithic, like, powerhouses just run away with shit. It becomes boring.
Yeah.
I will say this though, fuck Burnley. I'm glad they're gone. They can take their fucking plane with their banners too, the pricks. Like, all these little puff pieces they're doing is like, oh, look at poor Burnley, their plight. There's 65 million pounds in debt, and fuck right off.
So the only thing in their favor is they're less screwed than Everton would have been getting relegated, by the way. But kind of just add one sad moment. The guy who coached them for the last 2 months, month and a half, he's from Liverpool. And I don't necessarily think. I think he's like a very genuine guy. So I would. So that took the shine off it. If it was Deitch getting relegated, I'd have been very happy. Him getting relegated takes the shine off it for me. So,
but he wasn't going to get the full-time job anyway, was he?
He wasn't. No. But I don't. It'd been a nice story for like the Scouser to come in and succeed.
We made it you made it off on the lifeboat and on the Titanic. You see it, swings and roundabouts.
I am going to throw one thought in here, though. If we're talking about the city parade, each one of the people there is spending $9 to $12 million on that club a year, if you're to believe their commercial proposition.
Yeah.
Who knew they were that flush?
They looked really rich. All of the people in that crowd, especially the people who broke the goalposts yesterday. They looked like rolling in money.
Just throw some jumpers out.
Yeah. So we're gonna. I don't want to do too much. I want to talk about the Champions League final, because that, I think, is the thing that gives us optimism. But I did want to hide them one last thing on City. Morris said today, Liverpool hate us, and I'm like, what?
Who are you?
And what I would say is, which is what I put in the agenda, actually, we hate the fact that you are the face of an oil nation heavily invested in sports washing its reputation. That's what we hate. Thoughts on, go with Mahrez, go with any of the nonsense that Pep has spouted, and then we'll pivot somewhere else.
No, it's just ridiculous, the whole narrative, but it is what it is. It's that's how they get their fan base fired up, all of that stuff. I mean,
All 12 of them.
yeah. It's actually, I thought we said 5, but
Did they get the extra 7?
Well, they won the league. They're bound to have added a few people. Oh, I should tell you, this may not work, but yesterday it sounded very funny. Someone was observing like how young the people were on the pitch, and they were like, "Oh, this is like the City fan base. They're all like under 20s, some in their 20s." It's like, how many of their dads are Chelsea fans? Which I thought was hilarious. But anyway, that's
Well, I think they give away some tickets to like local school kids or something, don't they? Help fill the stadium. I think
pretty sure they've not got a solid fan base. That's
so. The only thing I would like to add to the whole thing is, and you guys have been talking about the oil, roots and all of that stuff, but get used to it because it's going to be 2 of them next season. It's just going to get ugly.
You know who sponsored the Golden Boot in the Playmaker Awards?
Castrol.
Yeah, I saw that.
You can't fucking get away from it, boys. We're besieged. We're awash.
Yeah. So we've talked too much about those people, and obviously there are so many superior things about us. One of which is we are in a Champions League final on Saturday. I'll start with you, Sean. It feels like this Real Madrid team like had their heyday 5 years ago, and somehow the same Real Madrid team is back. Is this, can they really like have one last go around, or is this the final nail in the coffin of that Real Madrid?
I mean, if you believe the odds makers, were favored by a decent margin, but I think you can't really keep them out because they have playmakers, and we've seen that they can score goals in clutch situations. But I don't know. I go through our starting 11. I think vast majority are our players in our strongest 11. I think the big question mark is with Fabinho and Thiago if they're both fit. Fab hasn't played, but and there's probably going to be a lot of talk about Vinicius Jr. against Trent, but I think there's not going to be enough focus of. I think Diaz will probably start, and he's going to be going against Carvajal, who is not the best defensive fullback, and he's past his best. So if they start with their normal starting 11, I think they're gonna. It's going to be difficult, as it would be difficult for almost any team, because if you have Salah on one side, Diaz on the other, and Mane in the middle, it's kind of tough to figure out assignments there. So hopefully we have our best 11 or our fit 11. But I think I guess maybe you can make an argument for Mendy, but I think our entire defense is better than theirs. You go through all 5 positions. So yeah, I mean, before the injuries, I was extremely confident. Now I wavering a tiny bit, but I still think we'll win the game. But I'm also not discounting the fact that they could pull one out again, just because they have those kind of players.
Yeah. So it's really hard to figure out how good this team is, Real Madrid, that is, because it feels like on paper they should have lost to everybody they've played this year, including some of the Spanish teams that they've lost to. What is it that gives you concern about them, and how can we counteract it?
The thing that gives me concern is the same thing that gave Marianne Williamson concern about Donald Trump. It's the fact that they are a dark psychic force on the Champions League. Yeah, I mean, like they just have evil. They have evil magic in that competition. That's it. That's what scares me about them. I don't think they're particularly good. Their defense is bad. Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo are both really talented players, but they're also both very young and very raw. Karim Benzema is very good. Luka Modric and Toni Kroos and Casemiro have all figured out how to play their game despite aging. But
More dark
you know,
magic.
it's dark magic. That's all it is. It's just evil. It's evil juju, and we just need to avoid it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, Paris finals are like a what's the word for it? Like the thing that the I'm struggling with my Superman terminology. Kryptonite.
Night.
For
So,
them.
I'm going back in time actually to the last time we won. Didn't Tottenham beat Ajax and City in similar fashion to the way Real beat, PSG?
Last minute goals. Yeah.
Yeah, City and who was the third one? There was another team that they beat.
Chelsea.
Chelsea, thank you.
Oh,
But it seems eerily similar. The whole trajectory.
Look, if Real Madrid goes through this competition, beating PSG, Chelsea, and City, and then us, hats off to them.
Yeah,
It's a hell of a run. Don't want to see it happen.
Well, we need to check in where the devil is in the because clearly there's something going on here.
I mean, can we also maybe just hide Ancelotti in the catacombs?
Oh, Ancelotti's record against us in the last 3 years, not good, right?
It's not, but he's claimed to now be an Evertonian. So
He's screwed.
perhaps the force has shifted away from him.
He wasn't in long enough there. He wasn't there for long enough to change his fucking address.
The guy,
Mail at his old house.
the last person to try to leave Merseyside for Madrid that quickly
Is there a chance
was Xabi Alonso.
James Rodriguez is playing in the final based on his?
No, but he's rooting for us because of Luis Diaz. He's already said as much.
Wow, strange bedfellows.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not sure I want him on our side, but okay. I'm not sure where I'm up to at all. But let's talk a bit about. Obviously, we may have some injuries. If you had the choice of the best players that you could pick against them, where would you go, Daz?
Available players, or think?
Well, I think it appears Fabinho is going to train this week. Thiago has something wrong with his Achilles, but is not necessarily ruled out.
Well, I'd go Allison, Phil Neal, Alan Hansen, Virgil van Dijk, probably Phoebe Nickel.
Oh, Alan Kennedy, given he's already won a final in
True,
Paris.
thank you.
In Paris against Real Madrid.
Sorry, my bad. Jeez, how could I forget that? I'll see myself out. No, I'd say Ali, Trent, Robbo. For experiential sake, I'd go with Joel and Virg, because I'm pretty sure that Virg will play. I think that they'll have to put Thiago in a lead box and sink him to the bottom of the ocean to stop him from playing in this, and he'll probably still make it there for the second half. I think that he'll play. This isn't something that you miss. I'm not sure if he's even playing, if he's even in contention for the Spanish national team. So if we miss him for the first couple of weeks of the season, a long-term injury, I think he'll gut through that. Fabinho, I'm not sure if he will, just because of Hendo has done a pretty solid job in the six, and you can rely on his experience. And then on current form, I'd probably say that Naby Keita is probably your next best choice if Fab doesn't play. If Fab's healthy, I'd play him. I'd run that risk.
Yeah.
Then you have Hendo on the outside, and then that's a pretty solid midfield. And then up top, it's got to be Diaz, Mo, and Mane.
Or does it?
What's that?
Or does it? I'm gonna go to Hytham. A couple of things. Firmino came and played an interesting cameo the other night. We got 5 subs. It's always an option. Kind of wonder whether there's a role for Milner in this. Again, the 5 sub things.
Yeah, I can see him.
Starting 11. I thought you talking about starting Milner. Sorry,
Potentially,
No.
yeah. If so, it would be like Thiago can only play 30 minutes. So, do you want to play the first 30 or do you want to play the last 30?
I'd probably play Milner I don't know, probably the last 30 or and start with Thiago and see how far he can go. To be honest, I get, especially for the sake of dealing with Vinicius, depending on where they put Nabi. So if they put him on if he's on the right, playing on the right, I feel like it's gonna be tough with Trent, especially like if Konate is starting. That trio, Konate, Trent, and Keita, I think is stronger than having Joel there. That's just me, just based on what I've seen. And then Benzema, we're forgetting Benzema too. Benzema, he might be old, but he's a shooter. He doesn't need much to score. But then Virgil's there, so that shouldn't be a problem, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if I had the choice, I'll bring in Milner, especially if we're ahead, in the last 30 to just tidy things up and kick people.
Kicking people might be important at that point. Yeah. So, like there's different options to choose, right? Sean, I don't know where you're going to go with choices, but there were certainly players. So one of the things I think that's really helped us this season is having some really cool triangles, and one of those has been Hendo, Trent, and Salah. And I don't think we've had that trio since, I don't know, were they playing the FA Cup final? I can't remember now, but it's been a while since that was the triangle, and I'm kind of wondering whether that will dictate some of the choices rather than like who's the fittest. What are your thoughts?
I expect Fabinho and Henderson to start midfield. I think the back fours. Yeah, there is a question between Matip and Konate. I don't know with that one, honestly. That's an interesting one because Konate has started a lot of Champions League games. He's a little faster, but Klopp likes his experience, so he might go with Matip there. But I think if Thiago can't start, he'll play Nabi there. If both Fabinho and Thiago can't start, which I can't really see, I could see Klopp going with Milner, Henderson, and Nabi. But
that'd be Genie, wouldn't it, for that midfield?
Yeah,
joke, yeah. 2018 joke, but
right. So I guess I'm hoping that that's not the case, that we can start either Thiago or Fabinho. And then I think the front three, I think we're going to go with Diaz. I think Diaz will definitely start, and so will Mo and Mane. I think the three of them are just at this point kind of shoo-ins to start if they're healthy. So that's the way I'd expect it to go. A lot of it depends on, Fabinho and Thiago and how healthy they are, and then the Konate and Matip choice. I don't know. That's kind of a tough one. I think that's the biggest toss up there. I think he'll go with Konate just because he's faster with Vinicius, but
hasn't lost a game he started yet either.
What's that?
He hasn't lost the game.
Okay.
Konate.
I love Konate.
This is the optimism we need. Yes.
The only question mark with Konate is, to Daz's point, like if they're worried about him getting rattled from a couple of mistakes he made early last week. I don't think so, but I think he, young players make mistakes. I think it looked like he was pretty breezy. So I think that's probably why he misjudged the header, but
they also switched him, didn't he? Didn't they switch sides?
Yeah. I think he played the previous game there too, right? But and he's played there a couple times this year, but he's mostly been playing that right side, yeah. Which I assume is it's a slightly different role. Virgil's usually playing there. So yeah, I mean, so that's the way I'd expect it to go. I think Thiago and Fabinho will both end up starting, but if Thiago doesn't start, then Naby will play in that role.
So I've not had enough optimism about us winning. So we'll do kind of one more round on, I guess, how you're going to approach the next week, and then what your expectations are for Saturday. I'll start with you, Justin. Do you think are we shooting to win this? What's your hope and expectations?
Revenge. I think Mo's going to destroy them. I think Mo Salah's going to absolutely destroy them. I think you get a signature moment out of him in this game. He feels like he's just on a mission to win something. And I think that as much as he likes the individual accolades, he wants to be known as the guy who can pull a team over the line. Like, it's part of what I really love about him, is that he's not, for as much as he goes out and he does all the things that you want your ultra creative winger / goal scorer to do, he is still very much a team first player. And I think he wants to beat Real Madrid with this Liverpool team very badly. And I'm absolutely here for it.
Yeah. So what I'd observe is that yesterday, I think I heard this in the Anfield Wrap, someone was observing that when Salah scored the go-ahead goal, he's like, I've won the league, haven't I? And then when the response to the crowd wasn't, like, he was confused about why people weren't as up for his goal scoring, that this time he doesn't have to worry about another result in another ground in another city, right?
Yeah, just win, baby. Sorry, I had to conjure Al Davis there.
So Daz, approach the rest of the week. What's your most optimistic side saying about how it's going to turn out?
I think I've used the Rocky montage allegory already, and I just see like both Mane and Salah. I'm crossing the streams here.
Sane, fuck off, Sane.
Where's he at? Never heard of him. But yeah. I just had this montage of both of them with beanies on, hitting frozen meat, because I don't think that people give Mane enough credit for how well he played once Salah went off in that final, and how well he's done.
Yeah,
like kind of like the low key disrespect on his name, or just him as the person, is it doesn't get enough. It doesn't get enough attention from people. Like he's, I was going to say this earlier, like if you watch, he's kind of taken on Bobby's role really well. Like you see him dropping deeper and deeper to get involved. It sometimes gives me kittens, because like he has a tendency to have heavy touches that end up with their guys going the other way. But like he's gotten better and better in that role every week that he's played it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we don't do optimism. My one concern is, and I was going to say this earlier about Real, is like they kind of have that almost annoying hubris. It's not hubris, it's more confidence that they're never out of it. It's just, and potentially it's because they've got all those old heads in there that have won it so many times. It's just that they're never going to go away. They're like herpes. And that's you can expect a quick check here around the 88th minute.
So like with Ramos and without Ramos, well, where's that right to herpes? Were they like a stronger strain, a weaker strain?
Donkey herpes. I don't know. It's my one concern is like that they're always going to be in it. Like we'll be battering them, and it'll be 2-0 with 80 minutes, like 2 minutes to go, and like you just. I watched them do it like in three separate like knockout stages. So, but I think pound for pound we're a better team. I think it just depends on our own belief, and I really believe our belief is high right now. And I think Justin's hit it on the head earlier. It's like we've got that type of like that steely resolve now, that if we bend our collective wills to something, we'll make it happen. And that's kind of what I'm thinking this week is, and I think that's what Klopp is going to be feeding them as well. Is like, look, think about how many times we've had injured guys, and the next, and Justin again. Sorry to bring you up again, Justin, but Justin's next man up shows up and it just becomes a vital cog in the same machine. And it's a testament to what Klopp has done, not only in coaching this team as a unit, but like imbuing them with a self-belief that like you are one of us. I think I read something about Origi saying like, yeah, it sucks that I didn't get to play and it really hurts and it sucked, but he's like, this guy's an unbelievable coach and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I'm paraphrasing the last bit, but yeah, that's what it made it seem like. So
I think Benteke said the same, right? Even though he's like, I'm not good enough for this team, but he like told me, I'm going to pivot. Hytham, you and I watched the Women's Champions League final last weekend. Team beginning with L beat the team from Spain. Like, I feel like that's an omen for us. Where you want to go with this?
That's a hell of a stretch.
Team, honestly,
Hytham, why don't you tell us what you think about Spanish football?
Overhyped team from Spain. We're definitely going to win. And I guess they don't Madrid is not as favored, but Barcelona were heavily favored in this game, and I thought it was a extremely good lesson in like not getting ahead of yourselves. And I feel like Madrid may be getting ahead of themselves. It's some of the pre-match stuff I've heard from them. I know you love La Liga and you want to praise them as much as you can, so I'm leaving it with you.
I think Olympique Lyonnais, I think, won the Champions League in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So
They did. Yes.
yeah. So it's not really a bad omen.
Jesus,
yeah.
at two, at two.
But yeah, it is what it is. I still believe dearly that La Liga is shit. Just based on what I see. I mean, Barcelona, lost like
the Real Madrid. Who the fuck you trying to kid? Yes, we know.
The last 5 home games, I think they lost them, and they're the number 2 team in the Liga, so that says a lot about that team. But yeah, so one thing, just going back to your question earlier, Paul, about this week and how I'll approach it or whatever. To be honest, first of all, I don't have any expectations for Saturday. And when I say expectation, I'm not expecting us to win and all that stuff. I want a good performance. That's all what I'm looking for. Yeah, it's gonna suck if we lose, but if we win, that's fabulous. And if we happen to lose, I've still enjoyed this season. Tremendously. So it's not like, I need them to win to, justify. And I think you guys feel the same way. But just when I say I don't have expectations, I don't expect them to win. Yes, I think they're the better team. And even with the injuries that, Sean was talking about earlier, we beat Barca with Messi, Suarez, Coutinho, whoever, Alba, and Bobby and Salah who are injured. So those are the types of things that I go back to when things arise out of nowhere, like Thiago's injury and all of that.
So you're hopeful, but you're gonna accept whatever happens, right?
Absolutely.
I would really love us to play Eintracht Frankfurt in the Super Cup and to be on a par with Lyon in terms of winning the Champions League. I think we're out of time, but last word for you, Sean. How are you going to approach this week? Obviously, it'd be really easy to be excited on Saturday, but got to kind of manage between a bit of disappointment on Sunday to being super hyped on Saturday. How are we going to manage this?
I think we're all going to start getting a bit hyped tomorrow and Wednesday when we start seeing the videos from Paris, because it sounds like a lot of Liverpool fans are going, camping out. I think it's going to be a fun week to experience, even just on the social medias. And yeah, like it's, I'm not going to think about what it's going to be like if we're going to lose. I think we're going to win, and it's going to be awesome. So the one thing that I do think that it's hard to know, but I think there's a possibility that Real might be overlooking Diaz and the threat that Diaz brings, and I could see him playing a big role in this one. Because until Salah went off against Chelsea, he was tearing them up. And that's what I mean. That's kind of the setup with those front three. That's what I think they're so dangerous. Like if you have the three of them up there, you can't overload one side against Salah because Diaz is going to be out there one-on-one or wide open, and he's too much of a threat. And I my guess is that's what they're going to do, and he's going to tear them apart early. At least that's my hope. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to try to enjoy the week as much as possible prior to the game, with the hopes that we win. But if we don't, I'll make sure that I take it all in this week.
With the amount of football that we've been playing and the regularity with which we've been playing it, come Saturday, I'm going to be like Rose from Titanic. It's been 84 years.
It's yeah, that is going to be tough, right? Like one game left, honestly.
Yeah. I think that's going to be like, yeah. I mean, win or lose, really. I mean, it's going to feel weird. It always feels weird at the end of the season, but we've been playing so many games. It's going to feel really weird this summer.
So
I have to say, as a guy administering a supporters club, I could use the break.
So before you go, what's your hooch of choice for the weekend? He says as Sean takes a big sip of something that looks like it was devised from a skull.
Well, I mean, I'll be at Rooney's on Saturday, so I'll be drinking Guinness. That's what I always drink there. So.
Awesome. So can you be there from 12:30 to 5 just to police the whole thing?
I penciled in 1. You're stretching it a little bit here, Paul. And I penciled it in until 6 in case we go to shootout or something.
What, AM?
If we win, it may be 6 a.m.
I should probably plan to Uber, actually.
So I don't know if we get a good response from this. Let's do once more around. I think in 2018, for 20 minutes they were shit scared of us, and then Ramos managed to obviously hack down Salah, which helped them. They had a very fortunate with those carriers. They had a very fortunate win against us, and they didn't play against Virgil or Matip or Fabinho or any of our really good players. Do you think there's a sense in which they may not quite expect the team that we are? Let me turn that into a easier question to answer. What do you think the score is going to be at the weekend? Go with you, Justin, first.
We are going to win 3-0.
Oof, okay. Love it. Beat that, Daz.
3-1. Us.
Is that like Price is Right rules?
Yes. Eat it, Wells.
So Hytham, what's your
3-2 us.
Oof. Hey, it's getting too close. Stop it. Sean. No Thiago, no Fabinho. We're gonna win.
I'm to the 3-1.
Okay. I had to say, I'm thinking 3-1. I'm thinking Leon, 3 goals in the first half. I feel like that was the template. Guys, this has been so enjoyable. Thank you, Justin. Thanks, Hytham. Thanks, Daz. Thank you, Sean. We will be back for probably the final episode of the season after the European Cup final with a season review. Thank you, everybody. And especially all the other people who contributed during the season. If you enjoyed the podcast, please share with a friend. Follow us on Twitter. We only tweet and retweet sources we think are credible. Thanks, everyone.